Hey, what's going on, guys? Matty with Fusaro Fitness. We got a Q&A coming from the Facebook fan page, and we're going to jump right into the questions. First one, do you ever feel food deprived? Absolutely not, and this is why I preach flexible dieting. So the quote that goes around that I stand by is, avoid food avoidance. Don't just not include foods into your diet because they have sugar or because they have carbohydrates. Just find that healthy balance. Focus on getting your micronutrient-dense foods, your whole foods, minimally processed foods, but don't deprive yourself of treats or snacks or dessert foods just because someone told you that they were unhealthy. So, not at all, no deprivation. Books, authors, blogs, channels, resources in general you recommend, primarily nutrition, maybe lifting. As far as nutrition goes, you guys all have probably heard me talk about Alan Aragon before. You can check out Lyle McDonald, Brad Schoenfeld, Alex Viada. There are a ton of people out there. You could just actually head over to examine.com, and I'm sure a lot of the questions you have been answered before, and they'll be right on that website. So examine.com, and you could probably get a lot of your answers there. What does your current leg routine look like? Currently, I'm doing a lot of deadlifts. I'm starting to incorporate some Romanian deadlifts in as well, and I actually just started doing some front squats. So I throw in the isolations, the leg extensions, hamstring curls, calf work, but I'm actually starting up a new program in about a week, so I'll keep you guys informed on what that's going to be. What tips or advice do you have for someone wanting to start flexible dieting? Don't just look at if it fits your macros or flexible dieting as a reason to make the majority of your food shit. So don't do it just because you wish you could have Pop-Tarts or you wish you could have ice cream. Understand nutrients and nutrition first. Learn how to hit your macros properly, and then understand what discretionary calories are. So allow yourself a few hundred calories to fit foods in, but don't take it overboard like a lot of people tend to do. They focus so heavily on eating ice cream, pizza, and chips, and maybe saving a handful of spinach for the end of the night. It should be the other way around. Get those fruits, vegetables, fiber in, and just fit something into your macros. Just start out by doing maybe a 100 or 200 calorie ice cream bar that you normally wouldn't eat. Try and fit that into your macros, and it's really not that hard. So don't look at it as an excuse to binge or stray away from your diet completely, but more as just a flexible lifestyle. What do you think of the generation of sick cunts? Strictly aesthetic bro, Myron bro, I curl on the squat rack bro. It is what it is, you know. I'm never going to be a sick cunt. I'm not going to walk around like this with my shirt off flexing, and you know, people just everyone has their own goals. People, you know, do what they want to do. Not the path that I would go down personally, but you know, they're successful people in what they're doing, so props to them. How do you know when I guesstimated wrong eating out? Any tip? If you maybe gained weight, if you went over your macros. I mean, the best advice I can give when eating out at a restaurant that you're not too familiar with, or maybe you're not sure if the macros are very accurate, which they're usually not, just eyeball it the best you can and overestimate. You're better off just adding fat and adding carbs to the meal. Normally they skimp you on the protein, but they do have a heavy hand when it comes to fats, oils, and butters in restaurants. So if the menu says 10 grams of fat, I would mark it down as 15 to 20 because you never know how much oil and stuff they're adding. And then just don't stress it. Unless you're contest prep or you have to get ready for some kind of physique competition, if you're just going out to eat and you're just trying to you know, see results in the gym, nothing too crazy, enjoy the day out and just get back on track the next day. Not a big deal. Which other fitness channels on YouTube would you best compare to being similar to your same style on your channel, as far as delivery and having the same views on diet and exercise as you? I think a lot of people in the YouTube fitness community have very similar views on training and nutrition. There are always going to be those people who are maybe a bit more bro, who rely on anecdotal evidence. They've experienced something, so they pass that knowledge on and don't really give a shit what science says. So if it works for me, I'm going to do it. There are those people out there, and that's completely fine. But myself, I think a lot of people, really there's a lot of them out there. As far as style and delivery, a lot of people compare me to like Brandon Campbell, which I'm not as good looking. My shoulders aren't as big, and he's a great speaker on camera. But you know, a lot of people have similar views. So check out some of the people I'm subscribed to. Whether I agree with what they say or not, they're all good channels. Your opinion on sex and weight training. There have been many studies done saying sex hurts your progress. Is this true? Studies were probably done by a virgin. No, I'm just kidding. How would sex hurt your progress? I have no idea. Unless you are having sex 5 minutes before you squat, might not be the best idea, as you might run out of energy. Unless you're a two-pump chump, then you probably don't have anything to worry about. But I would never give up sex just to get a little bit better gains in the gym if that really were the case. So I don't know what study you read. Maybe it was on like CNN.com or the Huffington Post, or maybe it was even that Dr. Oz character who told you that, but forget about it. Is it true that you can't digest a large amount of protein, 50 grams or more, at once? Any food that you eat, the process of digestion takes a very long time. A lot of people are convinced that if you eat a meal with, say, 1,000 calories, maybe a Chipotle burrito, and it has 60 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 20 grams of fat, that meal is not just gone in 3 hours. The process of digestion takes many hours. So you will eventually digest that protein, and that myth has been busted many times. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much, but I also don't see the reason to consume like 100 grams of protein in one meal. So just spread it out throughout the day and you'll be just fine. My carb refeed was yesterday. Should I go back to today to moderate carbs and fats, or go low carb since my engine is full of glycogen and no carbs are further needed on today? I'm assuming you're a Ferrari if your engine is full of glycogen. Now, if you had a refeed, there was probably a reason for it, unless it was just an all-out cheat day, but usually refeeds are structured, and then you would return to whatever macros you are normally on. So I don't know why you would, start messing with your macros throughout the week just because you had that carb refeed. So that carb refeed is supposed to help you with performance, with satiety, psychologically. So I would just, go back to whatever your normal macros are. Is carb backloading on a cut a good way to lose weight? A good way to lose weight is a calorie deficit, whether you create it through the food that you eat or energy expenditure by doing cardio. People get so hyped up with carb backloading, intermittent fasting, paleo. It's dictated by your calories. So whatever is the easiest method for you to cut back your calories on or increase your energy on, that's going to be the best way to lose weight. Whatever keeps you sane while doing it. Alright, so I've got 2 more questions. Getting back into the gym after an injury. I recently tore ligaments in my ankle, had to take a few weeks off from working out. The problem is now I can't get motivated to get back into it. Any advice? If you really want it bad enough, you'll get back into it. As long as you are cleared by a doctor to start training again. I know it's hard. I've been through the same thing. I had, months out of training with my herniated discs in my back, and getting back into it was extremely challenging, and it was demotivating to see all my weights decrease and start from scratch and actually have to relearn some of the movements and motor patterns. But that's the fun part. I know it sounds crazy, but film yourself, film your progress in your journey, and watch yourself get better over time. Look at it like a comeback. See where you came from and where you're going to and how you can progress. That's the most motivation for me is sometimes, we hit these roadblocks and we feel down about ourselves, but the motivation is how can we overcome these and get to where we need to be instead of just sitting on our ass complaining about it. So the best motivation is just to do it and document your progress so you can look back on something. And get better soon, dude. Sorry to hear about that. Alright, let's get one more question. Thoughts on behind the neck press. Should I stop even though I have no pain from it? Is the risk worth the reward? I know a lot of people say that behind the neck press has great shoulder activation, but it's dangerous. And even if it doesn't bother you now, it could potentially lead to injuries. And there are other exercises that will target the same muscles, so really taking that risk might not be the smartest move if there is another alternative to that. So there are plenty of them. Any kind of overhead press will be just fine. Behind the neck is it's a dangerous position to put your shoulder in. So not something that I really recommend, especially if you start going heavy, because you say it doesn't bother you now, but you're gonna get tempted to increase the weight, and bad things can happen from there. So I don't want to see anyone get hurt. But we're going to end this part 1 of this Q&A here. I don't want this video to get too long, but we have a lot of questions here, so I'm going to roll into part 2 and maybe even part 3. So I'll link those on the screen. Stay tuned, and thanks for the questions, guys.